Welcome to Here Where You Belong, your go-to podcast for exploring belonging with your host and belonging expert, Dia Irby. We are thrilled to have you join us. Together, we'll dive into the depths of what it means for each of us to find our own place in the world, whether it's within our communities, our relationships, or within ourselves. Today's episode is meant to inspire, uplift, and remind you that no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. So grab a cozy spot and settle in. Welcome to Here Where You Belong.
Hello, awesome belongers. Welcome home to Here Where You Belong. I am super excited about my guest today. He is a maker of champions and in many fields of life, and a big believer that great teams create the memorable, unimaginable, and unachievable. I'm Dia Irby, your host. Get ready to be blessed and inspired. Let's welcome Nick Savage. Hey, Nick.
Hey, viewers, listeners out there.
Thanks for being
hey,
here. I
Dia.
have to tell you more about my friend Nick, and he is my friend
I'm so
from
glad to be here.
way back.
Yeah.
He is also known as Coach Nick. He coaches everybody in his life. He's a dynamic leader with a multifaceted background in sports, technology, wellness, business, and high performance development. His passion lies in empowering individuals, teams, and organizations to unlock their full potential, blending his expertise in cutting edge technology with a holistic approach to physical and mental well being. That takes it all in, doesn't it? With a proven track record in leadership, Nick excels in creating environments that foster a growth mindset, innovation, and excellence by helping others achieve success at the highest levels. Now, here's a few more facts. He's organized, curated, and directed more than 10 TEDx events for over 50 speakers, performers, and entertainers from around the globe. Nick is also a coach and performance director working with over 10,000 from military, first responders, and sports. He's helped launch successful over 1,000 student athletes to championships, scholarships, medals, professional careers, and successful life after sports. He has the Savage Flight Master Series on Savage Flight TV on YouTube and can be found on Instagram and LinkedIn. He's founded several award-winning nonprofits over the last 30 years. I could keep going, but if I do, we'll never have time to let this awesome person in my life share with you. And I'm going to stop talking and let Nick tell us just a little bit or a lot about how belonging or building community relates in his life. Take it away, Nick.
Wow.
I hope if I left out anything that you feel like they need to know.
You got the big thing. I got a grandbaby now.
Oh, okay.
Add to my role.
Grandfather, yes. That makes a big difference. If you knew how fun they were, you would have had them first, right?
Right. No, I'm like, who is she talking about? Yeah. You're like, man, I got to meet that guy. And then I come home, I wake up. But yeah, I'm so honored and excited to be here. As we, I wish we break bread together too right now from your great TED Talk that you gave on the magic of the meal. That's still out there booming and thriving, and always keep it in memory as the meals come. And we've got the Thanksgiving coming, and Indigenous Day, etc., and the holidays that we just went through at Rosh Hashanah. So I always think near and dear by Dia, which is just a portion of Dia belongs to the word idea. That's a killer. I love that.
It does.
So where do we begin?
One of your pictures, your promo pictures, is an eagle flying in the air And you say, are you tired of running with the chickens or whatever that it says? I'm sorry, I can't remember it exactly. That is
Right.
impactful. You want to unpack that?
So you're gonna get me in trouble. Yeah, basically, in our advertising, Savage Flight for training and really trying to capture that growth mindset, because there, as you know, most people don't understand whether it's sports or just going for in life what you want to go for. There's a reason why zombies are so popular now, because that's where most people are functioning. A lot of people just kind of just walk through in a trance in life without really testing themselves and making themselves comfortable with the uncomfortable, to really and find out about yourself. And the whole premise of, we have one advertisement where you have ducks, you have chickens, and you have eagles. And, you have them moving around. And one of the uh, things that I was taught when I was young by the, African stories, the heritage in our lives that we learned from the griots. I think I learned from my sister. She was tasked with giving us a sense of heritage. They had something where you go, the bloods of kings and queens are in your wings. And they had a nice
Repeat that.
story.
The blood of kings and queens is
Are
in
in
our
your
wings.
wings. Right. And to sum it up, since I know we had time for the whole story here, but basically you had two eagle eggs fall off the top of a mountain, and they went to the valley where the chickens live. So the chickens took them in and raised them as chickens. And so they grew up, and that's a story we learn to tell in my culture, where, me, my daughter Kwanzaa, and tell kids about the story. So they have a sense of self confidence and self worth, where eventually an eagle comes down from above the mountain and says, "What are you guys doing?" And the eagles, these eagles that have been there for years, eating chicken feed and don't even know they can fly. And I think that's a great metaphor for a lot of people. They never really tap into their potential, and really through a growth mindset get seen for who they are. And I think that's one of the gifts that I've had over the years, is just see people. What's the messaging that they want to communicate in life? What do they want to be known for? And really let people see them on how they think and how they move in life, and what's their mission, what's their calling. So either with myself, you know, I get commanded to, okay, you need to listen and discern and move with this, to even push myself to deal with the uncomfortable constantly. Or I'll meet someone, especially when you're dealing with high end executives or athletes. Most people, like in the athletic world, understand, and it's the same thing with leaders. It's that last 10%. It's not going to be physical, whether it's how you think, or how you move, how fast you are. It's going to be, what do you think? And can you execute that best version of yourself? As you know, it's overused now, but that's pretty much the key with growth mindset, is that think big but do small, and really focus in on trying to do measurable 1% improvement, because high performance is about habits, and
Oh,
try to,
I've heard that before.
right,
You have habits.
create
So a
those
couple
great
from
habits.
that illustration. One is, it's important where you are. Like, if you don't want to be surrounded by chickens if you're an eagle, find
Right.
the right community where you're supposed to belong, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And because you can't be who you're supposed to be or be your best self. So find people to surround yourself. I know you've got this idea about who we have in our circle when we're trying to reach a goal.
Right. And focus in on, really make sure you don't, as you build your tribes, make sure you understand the role of that portion of the tribe, that group. Don't keep trying to use the same people to create different outcomes based on a different mission. So I'm very mission driven. So if you are going to, and I'm quite sure you do the same thing, that if you are going to have the mission of creating the best food money can buy, you surround yourself with great cooks, sous chefs, and master chefs. You don't go to your best friend and they're not a cook, and then you go cook and you bring it back to them, and because they don't want to hurt your feelings, they say, that tastes good. And that's what a lot of people do. To me, take, they reuse the same uh, circle of influence
And not challenge them to be
and not
better.
challenge and say, did you ever look at it this way? Always keep in those five, in a circle of influence for that mission. You are in the middle, two that know more than you, and two know pretty close, or they're going to bring a different perspective on, so that you get a little uncomfortable, with the comfortable. You got to learn how to move forward by being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And usually that's someone in your group that says, I don't know. I don't know, Nick. I don't know, dear. That doesn't make sense to me. So it's not whether, so people don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Chickens in life exist, ducks exist, and they all have their strengths and purposes, and eagles exist, and they all coexist. But you better know whether that's what you're trying to get done, because, and that doesn't necessarily mean the chicken has a small minded mentality, but you better know if you are an eagle. And if you're not trying to reach your full potential and you are, pretty much restraining your gifts, or you're not in the right path of your calling. And that to me is the metaphor with the chicken. Many people are scared to discover the things they were born to do, and they stay on the safe road and the well-traveled road, which is like, that's why the chicken crossed the road, right? And so,
Now we know you
right,
solved the problem. You
that's
answered.
why the chicken crossed the road.
That's why the chicken crossed the road.
You say, hey, I want to be a duck or an eagle. And where with ducks are great because they always work underneath the water. So they all have the gifts, but an eagle is the one that, hey, the eagles, I don't know about you. Yeah, I'd rather be the eagle than the duck.
Soar
No,
above it all.
or chicken. A good piece of chicken is great to have, as we both know. And duck's not bad. But in
Right.
any event, the excellence, associated with an eagle, I think that's why it's the United States bird. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Bad in every way. And that's what I try to communicate with all my clientele is, look, if simply put, if you were a book, would you read it? And I don't care what age, whether I'm talking to the 15-year-olds about to step on a football field, or that executive that may not be keep treating his staff the right way. And I'll stop and ask that question. Okay, if you were a book, would you read it? And what would it say? And that's basically, you just try to, chronicle your life that way. And that's what I've tried to live by, that, I'm spiritual, so that when I'm finally done at version 10.0, I'm not in a hurry. I'm version 6.4 right now. Just had my birthday. Version 10.0, 100. Okay, that's enough chapters written. And in the words of JC, it is finished.
It is finished.
Let somebody else hand the baton to the family. You run this next leg, and I'm done. So that's my key premise on belonging. And with that, to me, you have no second thoughts or regrets on putting
Well,
it
what
out there.
about surrounding yourself? Who should you surround yourself? What community should you have around you if you're on a mission to accomplish something?
That's a great question, dear. What I've learned in life is that, and I've been blessed to sit in rooms with people that, that you retain what they say, and they say something wise, and you've added to your circle of influence. You may not see them again. Life is a stage, and you perform one, no matter whether it's, and that's what I learned and you learn as performers. You don't care whether it's one in the audience or whether it's 10,000. You better perform the same, right? And what she was talking about was the premise of, you know, if you're calling and your call is to be the best teacher, to be the best uh, removal disposal person, to be the best wide receiver, to be the best ballerina, whatever that is, focus in that stage, and that stage may be neighborhood. And that's when I took the premise. First, most of the things I did, I just repeated. And I've just repeated them moving to bigger stages. So when I first lived here in Florida, some boys in the neighborhood said, hey, could you help us, with college and get opportunities and sports? And the sports was the engagement piece. It was just a bunch of neighborhood kids. And then the next day, you move, and I moved back to DC, Maryland, Virginia. And then your whole neighborhood says, hey, it started off as just sleepovers with some kids going to Hershey track meets. Next thing you got 150 kids, and it's a nonprofit. And then you grow that. So what Oprah basically said, just be the best on the stage that you're on. And in this case, my stage and calling was related to understanding technology, understanding leadership, understanding wellness, and understanding, business, and how to put those four things together and just keep repeating that same habit of high performance and just take it to another stage. So now, I've been blessed to
Right,
look at
quick question.
national and global stages. Mm-hmm.
As these are, it almost sounds organically blooming into larger and larger organizations.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you were being the eagle and not living like a chicken or a duck. Of course, somebody could maybe be the duck and not try to live like an eagle or a chicken. It's, be whatever you are on your stage. Did you have obstacles that came up that made it challenging? Because it sounds like a fairy tale that
Right.
you said, oh, I helped some neighborhood boys, and then I had 150 athletes.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's funny. He's like, it's, obstacles, right? And you don't want to be too, cheerleader coach speak of obstacles are opportunities,
Well, I was just going to say, but wait, am
right?
I asking the master teacher of mindset who's had an obstacle?
They're still there.
You have opportunities to correct your mindset. That's
And
exactly right.
right. And that's one way to put it. But with most of my clients, I let them know, hey, yeah, it's going to be rough. And you're going to you might have to get your duck buddy, the one that's paddling below the surface to make it look easy. But basically my premise is, the only way light happens is through darkness. You better understand it. And you better know the contrast between the light and the dark. And with the dark, that's the obstacles, that's the naysayers, that's the bad thoughts. And, as you're growing up, it's the light, is that just what you said, that tribe, that belonging group, And to me, the difference, say, between a tribe and family, okay, like I said, family, yeah, we always have a debate on, can you pick family? Because, yeah, as far as I'm concerned.
Who you marry.
But to distinguish it, I call it the tribe, the savage tribe. And it's so apropos, with our name. So we think it's cool. But I got so many cousins there.
Okay.
They're fake cousins, no blood whatsoever.
Okay.
But I trust them, to go through a wall. And I've got brothers. And I'm the only, male in my nuclear family. I got a sister. But I've got sisters and brothers that have been adopted. My best friends, are pretty much my brothers. And then I have ladies I grew up with too, who become my sisters. And that becomes the tribe. And they're the ones that, you move through those communities. So, so you still got your family, and that's your blood. So you say, that's my blood. So you're like, okay, that's different. You think differently.
you've got a family, a tribe, and then a team. That's different than a family or a tribe.
Well, teams, like I said, I mean, oh my goodness. And that comes back to your philosophy on when you're moving through life. And as I moved, what I wanted to do to create that saying about greatness is, bigger than the sum of the parts. It's the sum of the parts, right? Not the parts. Um, oh man, I mean, the technology team. And that's how you make some of the decisions on your next move in life. So after I was done with sports, playing, I got blessed. Here we go, another opportunity disguised. Once I moved on from the Dolphin experience, or even before that, University of Wisconsin, or even before that, growing up, you're part of championship teams, and then go to the high school, had great coaches who mentored me. Jim Wells, Jim Ward, they championed me along with my dad, who was a great coach. And next thing you got opportunities on 30 schools, and you move on to Wisconsin. Why Wisconsin? Because you had the magical feeling. I already had teammates there from my high school, but more importantly, the Badgers hadn't, they weren't winning. And, you had the Ohio State, you had the Michigan. And you said, man, wouldn't it be great? And we all talked to each other as freshmen and said, wouldn't it be great if we are the magic in that meal, dear? And the next thing you become the pathfinders, that team to lead the Badgers, which are now, a lot of them don't remember the pathfinders. And that's what you learn too, because we didn't win the Big Ten championship, but we were the first teams to take us to bowl games, for example. And that is the game changer, right? And the narrative that changes the story of
so school. You built a legacy.
We built a legacy and a history and I knew when we came to Wisconsin, you say, hey, you do it right, they're not going to forget you. Like Ohio State or Michigan or somewhere like. You had so many teams that keep winning, or Alabama, right? And they're like, which team were you on? No, the teams that we were on. So that's a team. So then you move on, and the next thing you know, after sports, I move in the world of technology. I didn't know, I'm at a place called IBM, number one in the world, right? At the time, just like Google, for those who don't know, and Amazon are now. They were number one, and they were working with this group called Microsoft. Small 500-person company, And they say, hey, we're going to create this thing. And you're like, what is that? And they said, we want you to be on a team. And I had a great mentor. Here we go again, champion, Ken Christopher. I did not see myself saying, okay, I saw myself as marketing. He said, no, we're drafting you on this technology team. So it was like, oh, that's draft? Okay, next thing you know, on this great team of ragtag. If anybody ever seen the old movie Dirty Dozen, you got couple
you were one of the dozen, huh?
We were one of the Dirty Dozen. So you had a dozen of us from college, and now we're working on this thing called the PC. And you're like, wow. And we're 23, 24, 25, and talking to Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer and, Mr. Allen every other week. Next thing you know, you're talking to other executives and you're coming out with this thing that's still here to this day. So, and the beauty of that is still back to just like what warriors say and veterans. It's the brothers and sisters that you meet. And we still know each other. I'm sitting down here in Florida.
You went to battle together.
We went to war. And,
yes. To work together on this project and become a team, which is a community. Yeah. And there's so much good stuff, but we have to take a break. So hold that thought and we'll be right back.
I'll be here.
Hey there! Isn't my guest amazing? So glad you joined us today. In this world that often feels disconnected, building community and fostering belonging are essential. That's why I created this podcast, to bring inspiring people to you, to encourage you to create that sense of belonging and community, no matter where you are. If you're being blessed by my guest, And we have some more. Like, subscribe, and share this podcast. You know who needs to hear this. Stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember, you belong. Now, back to our amazing guest. And we are back with the amazing coach, Nick Savage, who has coached people in multiple fields of life, from sports to technology to just living life and having the right mindset. And he's a great coach for TEDx talks. I know personally. Thank you very much. So what makes you feel like you belong?
Everybody wants their voice, and everybody wants to be relevant. And I always kept that in mind. So as far as sense of belonging, I'm always excited to be around people that see you and hear you. You know, and because that's really what most people, you know, the discourse you see right now, in our planet or in our country, you know, is that, yeah, I think you have a lot of people that don't feel they get heard, or they're misunderstood and seen. So
Right.
For me to belong, you know, it's usually once you're stepping out of that tribe, it amazes me how many people that I've run into now that'll crack me up. They say, yeah, I don't want any more friends. I don't need any more friends. I was like, wow, you are all
Well,
special.
so here's the thing.
That's not me. Yeah.
When it's comes to belonging, you can't belong to everybody.
Oh no, no.
And so when you find those people that are in your family, in your tribe, in your team, that see you for who you are, and then you can be who you are, you don't have to, oh, let me put on my character here so I can act a certain way. Then they're not accepting you or hearing you. They're accepting a version that you're being. So find people that accept you for who you are and hear what you have to say and care. Right?
Oh yeah, but that's the beauty of when you're being authentic. That doesn't mean you have to care that they don't care, that they don't see you, right? And I think that's one of the premises, you know, I'm talking with family and people go, but how does he feel? How does that person feel about me? Who, you know, it doesn't necessarily matter.
It doesn't matter how they feel about you. If you're being you,
If you're being
well, and,
authentic,
you know, I say this because I'm all about belonging and make people wanting to make people feel like they belong, but not everybody belongs everywhere. You have, say you have your family, unless somebody marries into it, that's your family. You have a tribe, and not everybody belongs to that tribe. If they're going to be authentic and they fit, then they belong, right?
but that is the tribe. I'm saying the
And
people
that's
that
the tribe.
belong, they see you.
Yes.
They see your flaws, they see your beauty, they see your, you know, they see you. And you can be authentic. And you know, it's back to, you know, what you asked me as far as, you know, what's my core tenet outside of the spirituality, you know, the truth will set you free, right? Yeah. Go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And
I was just about to ask you your favorite quote, and
that
here you brought it.
that's
You
it.
are right on cue.
Thank you. Thank
Say
you.
that again.
Go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. Because one of the key things is, you know how you get around folks, like say it is in sports, and you unsung, and the coach might say, you know what, no, no, I don't want you in there. And it's actually happened to my roommate. Yeah, no, okay, I gotta play you or whatever, and then bam, you go out and you just are phenomenal. Now, what's the narrative that gets placed on the story once you come back? So let's say, you know, you go out and you give a 10 performance in gymnastics and you weren't selected as one of the five, right? And then the first thing the person that didn't do the selecting says, this is key. What's the narrative? What's the optics? What story do they put on it? And if they say, well, Dia improved, that's why she's a 10 now. When in actuality, it may have been because they didn't see you and they misread what they saw. And very few will do that. Very few, whether it's a boss or a coach in that position of leadership. The great ones do it because they're servant leaders. The ones that don't, they're going to stick with the narrative. So in that case, they tolerate. That's a toleration for you because they won't ever really celebrate to convert and say, you know what, I was wrong.
That's why, because they would have to say that they were wrong.
I misread that situation. And that is courage. A lot of people cannot do that, and the other two to go with that, that I couple with the celebrate and tolerate is most people in life, there's only two things that really stress them out that they can't get by. And if they could do those two things, they go so much farther. I don't know, saying those words, or I need help. And if you think about it, whether it's getting a job, having an argument with your spouse, having a disruption in your life, most people sit paralyzed because they don't want to say those two things, along with get around the folks to celebrate you, not lie to you, but actually celebrate. When you get it done, they give you your roses, because there's too many that don't.
You are celebrating someone if you point out how they can improve or where they're getting off the path. That is a celebration of who you see them to be and their potential, don't you think?
Yeah, well, it's one of those lines. What do you say? And this is what many men get accused of, right? Everybody doesn't always want a solution, and that's what I'll get in trouble for often, with especially with my kids, where they just want me to listen, right? And the minute that courage is said, yeah, and you're in that tribe, and the celebration is already assumed, yeah, my friends or family will say, okay, I need to help now. But in many cases, people have to develop the habits of saying, can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes.
Wow. This has been amazing. We've covered just a little bit of digging into your brain and your thoughts about helping with mindset, helping build champions, creating an environment where people are willing to say, I need help, understanding that some people are living like chickens, but they're really eagles, but they might need a duck to help them with their feet always working under the water. Do you have any parting final words that you would like to share with our listeners?
Oh wow, that's a big responsibility there, dude.
In under an hour, okay?
No, yeah. Essentially, it's just go where you celebrate, not where you tolerate it. And the biggest thing, I find most people are too hard on themselves. And with that being said, learn to, what's the saying about dance when, no one's watching, and sing when no one's listening, but also learn how to laugh,
Thanks for tuning in to Hear Where You Belong. We hope today's episode has inspired you to embrace the beauty of belonging in your own life. Remember, no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. Join us again next time for more insightful conversations and heartwarming stories. Until then, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember that you belong.